I'm Mara Motherway, the Vice President of Strategy and Business Development for Lockheed Martin Aeronautics. It's my pleasure to be here at the 10th Annual Raisina Dialogue to discuss a crucial aspect of global security and prosperity, securing trade through red zones. Before joining the defense industry, I served for over 20 years in the United States Navy. During that time, I was honored to work alongside many representatives from the nations present here in this room today. Despite the differences we might have held, we all acknowledged a simple truth. Maritime security underpins peace and prosperity for the global community. Safeguarding the world's oceans while promoting freedom of navigation is a vital part of ensuring that continued security. I felt then, and I continue to feel now, a sense of responsibility to advocate for these principles. You've heard a lot this week about the complex and challenging environment in the Indo-Pacific. Recent political developments, historic tensions, critical supply routes, and the disruptive role of emerging technology requires us to think differently about how we ensure stability and security for this region. Today, more than 80% of global trade is transported across the world's oceans, with millions of ships, tankers, and vessels navigating strategic choke points while traveling well-established sea lanes. Additionally, over 80% of the world's maritime oil trade and 40% of global trade passes through the Indian Ocean, making it a crucial avenue for international commerce. The importance of maintaining the flow of trade through these red zones cannot be overstated, as it directly impacts the health of the global economy, the stability of international relations, and the well-being of all nations. Maritime threats not only endanger the lives of sailors and crew members, but also disrupt global trade and commerce with significant economic and societal implications. In addition, the increasing use of advanced technologies, such as autonomous underwater vehicles, cyber capabilities, and artificial intelligence are impacting our approach to the maritime domain. While these technologies offer many benefits, they also raise concerns about the potential for asymmetric threats, espionage, and disruption of critical infrastructure. The very nature of technological advancement means that the broader security environment is evolving more rapidly today than in decades past. So what can be done to address these challenges? First and foremost, any solution should continue to be centered around teaming between like-minded allies and partner nations. We are always stronger when we stand together, enabling an integrated and cohesive deterrent capability. Likewise, we must continue working together to build trust, confidence, and cooperation through maritime diplomacy, capacity building, and joint exercises. This collaboration, along with open and honest dialogue, helps to reduce tensions, prevent miscalculations, and promote a more stable and secure security environment. While today's focus centers around maritime strategies, we can appreciate how this topic is interwoven across land, air, space, and cyber domains. Those who would seek to threaten peace, diminish mutual prosperity, and challenge territorial integrity will continue to do so across all domains. We must be prepared to meet the moment. By working together through increased interoperability and information sharing, we can deliver advanced capabilities faster, strengthen our respective security postures in the theater, synchronize activities across domains, and improve trust. So what does it really take to put this into practice? It means accelerating the adoption and insertion of 21st century digital technologies into today's security architectures. That we embrace a standards-based, modular, open architecture approach to enable partners and allies, defense companies, suppliers, and startups alike to increase interoperability across all our efforts. It means investing in crucial maritime domain awareness capabilities, including surveillance monitoring, information sharing, to ideally anticipate threats. But when we cannot, we must be able to quickly detect and respond to those threats while promoting a more collaborative approach to maritime security. It means continuing to find areas for mutual understanding and cooperation, recognizing that peace and prosperity is always more sustainable when we work together to address our shared challenges. In general, securing trade through red zones is a collective responsibility requiring the cooperation and commitment of nations, international organizations, and civil society. A comprehensive approach is the only way to address our shared challenges while promoting a more stable, secure, and sustainable maritime environment. At the end of the day, we all have the same goal: to ensure security, stability, and prosperity across the Indo-Pacific region. I look forward to hearing the distinguished panelists' thoughts and the discussion that follows. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for this panel. Admiral Paparo, I'll let you pour your water, but I'll begin with you. I'd like to begin by asking about 2027. This is the year that Xi Jinping has told his military to be ready to take Taiwan by force. How important is this date in reality, and has he really set this as a deadline?
Thank you, Yalda. Thanks very much. Well, this is a very important point, just because as a matter of open source, is that the General Secretary of the Communist Party at the People's Republic of China has set this as a set of goals, and the People's Liberation Army has made good progress towards that. It's not a sell-by date in the sense that it's not the date on which they have decided that they're going to execute a certain operation. It is a stretch goal for the People's Liberation Army to be ready. It does not mean that before that date they wouldn't choose to execute such an operation. It doesn't mean that after that date that they would execute such an operation. As we approach that date, it decreases in its relevance. You know, on January 2nd, 2027, nothing has changed from that date. It'll be a set of conditions that will decide whether or not China has decided to embark on aggression. And that will depend on the political situation, it will depend on their own set of military capabilities, and it will depend on what they believe can be gained by aggression against what they believe the risks of aggression are. And so that's why it's very important that every nation that believes that the matter should not be settled by force maintain a strong deterrent posture. Now, every state has a policy on the matter, and our policies are unchanged. We remain concerned of the militarization across the Taiwan Strait. We shouldn't put so much emphasis on 2027 that we in turn have placed an emotional state on it because it will be a conditions base. It's an important date as we watch their progress. But the simple fact remains is that it will depend on the political condition, it will depend on their own readiness, and it will depend on the deterrent value of those that believe that the matter should not be settled by force. And I think that is the policy of many of the states of the Western Pacific. And in fact, I'll also say that the People's Republic of China itself has affirmed that the matter should be resolved peacefully itself. The United States' policy is that the matter of the Taiwan Strait should be resolved peacefully, and we maintain a deterrent capability across those lines as well.
Admiral, if they were to make a move on Taiwan, what would it look like? Would it be, from your assessment, a blockade, a full-scale invasion?
It could be anything across that spectrum. And accordingly, in accordance with the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979, which is a matter of law for the United States of America, that directs the nation and the United States Indo-Pacific Command that the United States shall maintain the capacity to resist any resort to force that jeopardizes the social, political, and economic system of Taiwan. That is a matter of public law. It's known to everybody here in the room. And that is the policy that's set forth in the 3 communiques, the 6 assurances, and the Taiwan Relations Act. And it won't be a secret to the People's Republic of China or anyone here in this room. It could be a blockade, it could be a full invasion, and it could be any bit of coercion in between.
Are you ready?
I'm sorry?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Vice Admiral Jones, I'm going to bring you into the conversation because your day job basically consists of looking at your platforms, seeing what you need so that you too can be ready in the event of something. How would you rate your platforms?
So that is correct. My day job is to be a consumer of readiness, a force employer running the ADF's operations around the globe with a distinct focus on our primary area of military interest, which is the Northeast Indian Ocean through maritime Southeast Asia and into the Southwest Pacific. We are ready on any given day to the extent that I've remarked before, is any nation truly ready at any time for war and conflict? Defence forces have the luxury of focusing on that, and to that extent, I'm satisfied that we are as ready as we can be right now, and I'm looking forward to the capabilities that the Australian government is procuring over coming years and decades, and the ability to employ those.
I want to sort of push you on those capabilities. I mean, we heard there from Maya about being 21st century ready. Do you think that you are 21st century ready? Are you investing in the right things and not just the legacy hardware?
Yeah, our national defence strategy makes it very clear that we're pursuing long-range strike capabilities. We're trying to advance the pursuit of technologies that can serve to assist us across the spectrum of conflict. We're definitely on the right pathway. It would be disingenuous to suggest that the Australian Defence Force is not in a period of transition as we have an eye on introducing those capabilities into service.
Vice Admiral, about 3 weeks ago, Chinese military ships were seen about 190 nautical miles from Sydney. How worrying was that? I know that they were still in international waters, but that is quite far down that they came.
I'll take a layered approach to this. And the closest they came to the Australian mainland was 140 nautical miles at one point. But by and large, they were operating on the edge of our exclusive economic zone. The Australian interpretation of the exclusive economic zone is that it has no bearing on military activities. So what they were doing was legal. I think there were layers to what was going on here. The strategic layer is messaging of China's capabilities, capacity, perhaps intent. At operational and tactical levels, though, as I've alluded to, what they were doing was what navies around the world do. And indeed, I want to be able to do that with Australia's Defence Force as well when we are operating and maintaining presence in East Asia and the South China Sea ourselves. So I advocate for just calm heads to prevail here. They were variously shadowed and monitored at all times during their transit.
General Braun, I'm going to bring you into the conversation because you're not just dealing with military ships from China. You're dealing with Chinese militia operating in that area. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Because you're constantly being bullied by them, threatened by them. Just give us a sense of that.
Yes. Allow me to give you a short background on the situation in the South China Sea from the perspective of the Philippines. In 1995, China built a small structure on Mischief Reef. Mischief Reef is about 250 kilometers away from the Philippines and about 1,270 kilometers away from Hainan of China. They claimed this to be a fisherman's safe haven of wharf. So we allowed them to do that because they opened it to all fishermen, regardless of nationality. However, in 2013, they started to reclaim the Mischief Reef. And today, you will see a 2.7-kilometer runway. You will see a deep sea port. You will see military barracks. You will see air defense systems and missile systems. And they did not just build on Mischief Reef. They started reclaiming Subi Reef. They started reclaiming Fiery Cross Reef as well. Now, these three artificial islands form what Admiral Harry Harris, called the Great Wall of Sand. And if you look at the map, these three artificial islands, they sort of form the boundary of the 9-dash line that China has created in the South China Sea towards the east. So these islands are towards the east. And so what does this give China? It gives them effective control over the whole South China Sea. And we know for a fact that almost more than 50% of world trade passes through the South China Sea. So their control is really, once they take full control of the South China Sea, this would be very harmful for world economy. So what are they doing today? They are trying to do tactics that some of us would refer to as gray zone tactics. But in the Philippines, we don't call it gray zone. We call it according to what these are, actually. So we call them ICAD. We came up with the acronym ICAD, meaning these activities of China are illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive or destructive. So ICAD. And they do this using their Chinese Coast Guard, using their Chinese militia ships. These are fishing vessels that are actually manned by the PLA Navy. We know this for a fact because, in fact, I was in one of the ships when we were harassed by these militia vessels and the Chinese Coast Guard. So what is the Philippines actually doing? We have three strategies to counter this. Number one, we try to assert our sovereignty and our sovereign rights in our exclusive economic zone by maintaining our effective presence in the area. Second is that we try to create a credible defense posture by modernizing the armed forces of the Philippines. And more importantly, number three, we leverage our alliances and our partnerships with like-minded nations. And in fact, we have created what we call the Squad, which is composed of 4 countries: the Philippines, Japan, the United States, and Australia. And soon, together with Japan, we have been pushing this, and together with our partners, we're trying to expand the Squad to include India and probably the South Korea.
You just said that once China takes over the area, it will become incredibly difficult. Is the expectation that they will take over the entirety of the area? I mean, they are bullying, the ships and those around. You've used tribunals in the past and the courts.
Yes, definitely. It is our belief that they will take control of the whole South China Sea. In fact, they now created a new map wherein they extended the 9-dash line. It's actually 10-dash line now. And now they extended that boundary to include a major island of the Philippines. So really, what we see is that moving forward, they're going to try to really take control of the South China Sea.
Can I just ask, what does a small nation like yours do to not get squashed in the middle of great power rivalry and great power competition but between the United States and China, but also what China is actively doing there?
Yes, so we consider ourselves the tip of the arrowhead. We consider ourselves the forefront of that competition between the superpowers of China and the US. But we, as I said, we leverage our partnerships because we could not do it alone. We are just one small country, but because of our location, our geopolitical location in the map, we are really forced to assert our sovereignty, despite the size and the power of China.
General Yoshida, I'll bring you into the conversation. I know you want to look at sort of the global picture and bring it down to the region as well. But when we look at the conflict in Ukraine, for example, what lessons have you taken away from what you've seen in Ukraine?
Thank you. So I'd like to point out the 2 things in the strategic level. One is the nuclear strategy. The other is the DPRK deployment to the Ukraine. The first, the nuclear strategies. And according to my observations, Russia making use of the strategic nuclear weapons for coercion, and might be the limited use for the future. I worried about the country surrounding Japan will change the nuclear strategies, the more aggressive ones. This is the first lessons learned. And the second is the DPRK's deployments of the troops to the Ukraine. I think DPRK has already crossed over the Rubicon River because this deployment has made the situation much worse, not only in the Ukraine front, but also in the Korean Peninsula. So I think the security between the Indo-Pacific and the Euro-Atlantic is inseparable. So that we should engage the engagement to the respective regional challenges. So I'd like to propose the concept of the global security. And in 2006, the first Shinzo Abe cabinet proposed the concept of the arc of freedom and prosperity to confront to the global terrorism that it's forming in the arc of the instability. But now this concept has the new meanings to deal with the situation that countries who attempts to change the status quo. The relationships are very strong, so that we need the revised the concept of the peace and the prosperity, the arc of the peace and the prosperity.
General, Japan is doubling defense spending. Can you talk us through your rearmament program?
Yes, thank you. We have the two tasks. The one is to improve the current warfighting capabilities. The second is to prepare for the future warfighting concept. And the former, we increase the effectiveness of the cross-domain operation. We strengthen the non-kinetic capabilities such as cyber and the electromagnetics, and also will strengthen the space operation capability in the outer space domains, and also we introduce the unmanned system. These are the improvement of the current operations. On the other hand, in the future, we should get the decision-making superiority in cognitive domain, making use of AI or the autonomy system. It's a very important to prepare for the future.
Which is where I'd like to bring you in, Admiral Tripathi, because we've heard about preparing for the future. You've spoken a lot about being future ready when it comes to taking on adversaries. How does that look for India?
Thank you, Alda. First of all, I thought you had forgotten me, so thank you for... Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and pleasure to be here at the 10th edition of Raisina Dialogue, which has truly grown from strength to strength in the last decade or so, and we as Indians are incredibly proud of it as to what it has become in the last 10 years. I've heard with great attention all my esteemed co-panelists, and I've made notes as well, as you would have seen. To your question per se, as to what we are doing to be future ready, we have always, as a Navy, we take pride that we are a learning organization. And learning organization, one of the attributes is that one has to, of course, keep your ears and eyes open, not only the military domain, but also into geopolitics, technology, and the tactics as being employed by both state, quasi-state, and non-state actors. So we have been doing this for some years, and the aim is that exactly what you have asked, so that we are future ready. We are not caught unawares, we're not surprised by the turn of events. Having said that, we are also aware that for the past several years, all these three elements which I enunciated, the geopolitics, technology, and tactics in the security domain, has been in a state of flux, which have become faster or accentuated in the last 3 or 4 years. And this audience is fully aware of what I'm talking about. So what we need to do is that as a Navy, I'm talking as a Navy, I'm sure as the armed forces of the Union as well, we have to ensure that we are ready to take on all the known challenges. We are reasonably prepared for something which is yet to come. But the portents of what is to come is already seen in a large measure. So we have got structures in terms of force structuring, as to what kind of force structuring we want, what kind of deployments we want to do. For deterrence, I think one of my co-panelists used that word, because we truly believe that a Navy which is not deployed does not deter. And we have been deploying our ships far and wide. We have been working with partners and learning the best practices from them in all domains. And without exception, all my friends who are sitting here, we have got multilateral constructs to deal with them, to exercise with them. We have got trilateral, bilateral constructs. We have methods by which we can talk to each other, exercise with each other. So finally, I think what will come as future ready, as we have seen especially in last 3-4 years, is that we have to have self-reliance, especially in a niche defense technology. And because at any point of time, there could be a break in supply chains, as we have seen in the recent past. So there is a greater now, I would say, importance being given for what we call in Hindi, Atmanirbharta, self-reliance. And I'm very happy to tell you that there is a great talent in the youth, especially in the small, MSMEs, individual entrepreneurs who have got the knowledge, and more importantly, who have got that will that they want to do something for the country in the defense ecosystem. So we are tapping that through multiple structures, so that as far as technology is concerned, we always remain ahead of the curve. Having said that, I just want to tell you that as far as the technology is concerned, there is a word called democratization of technology. Now, earlier, when we were growing up in the Navy, all the innovations in military domain happened either through state-sponsored R&D labs or big tech corporations such as Marthas. They are the ones who led the technology. But today, you could buy an idea or a technology online. I don't want to name. Online, you can assemble in a garage. You can thereafter do some minor adjustments using 3D printing, for example. Everything is available commercially. And thereafter, you can show it through social media. Again, I don't want to name it. So there has been a kind of from proprietary military technology to commercially proliferated technology. And in this game, unfortunately, even the non-state actors are equally adept. And sometimes they could be faster because they don't have to follow any rules and regulations, processes and procedures. So we're keeping a track on that as well. And we're moving on multiple domains to remain future ready.
How do you become faster, when, as you say, because you're dealing with your own bureaucracies, your own governments, how do you build faster? And, we're seeing some of the issues in Ukraine, for example, and you've just talked about the fact that non-state actors don't have the guardrails that governments do. How do you then build faster, work faster as a government?
So there is a greater realization, that whole of government approach, that everybody has to be into it. Finally, it is we're talking about the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the country, and therefore the security is everybody's business, not only in the government, in the military, but a normal citizen as well. And therefore, there is a greater participation and greater, I would say, synergy between various departments, between various organizations. And I can tell you that in the last decade or so, certainly there has been much improvement. We have cut down on timelines in the processes and procedures. And more importantly, we have cut down on timelines in assembling or constructing platforms. For example, the last ship which we commissioned 2 months back, there has been a substantial decrease in the construction of that stealth destroyer, and I'm talking of INS Surat.
I sort of want to keep pushing you on this point because, when we look at China, for example, everything from the private sector, the public sector, all work to the needs of the Chinese Communist Party. But that obviously doesn't happen in democracies. You know, you sort of can't necessarily expect the private sector to work to the needs of the military, the Navy. But how do you develop that synergy within a country, especially around national security?
So like I said, there is a greater realization on the part of every citizen of the country that what needs to be done. The government thrust on self-reliance and Atmanirbharta over the past decade or so has brought a belief in the youth of the country, some of them who may be sitting here, that if they do produce certain niche technologies and they offer to the armed forces, there is greater acceptance, and they will not be, found hanging, just for want of orders. So what the government has done is that they have facilitated through procedures, through policies, a number of them, which I'm sure this audience is aware, wherein anybody with niche technology can, take part in various schemes. And in many of the schemes, the government actually supports financially, up to 25 crores, which is a huge money for a startup who is just starting. We have seen many success stories out of this. Have we reached where we want to reach? I think it's still work in progress. So we have some miles to go, but we will not stop till the time we cross that mile.
Before I open up the panel to the audience to ask some questions, Admiral Praparo, I just wanted to come back to you before we open up. I mean, your nation, the United States, these partners are dealing with a formidable enemy, and we just talked about the fact that the entire system in China is working towards the national security of China. How do you deal with that? And the second part of that question is, what lessons, I put that to General Yoshida, have been taken away from the war in Ukraine and the Black Sea, for example?
Thank you. Can you hear? We definitely must integrate every single lesson from the war in Ukraine and the war in the Black Sea, and that is to find what is timeful and to still maintain what is timeless within all of that. And so what we've seen in the war in Ukraine and in the Black Sea is the incredible power of unmanned, and the power of drone technology, and in the power of mass production and the commoditization of drone technology, the power of thousands of inexquisite over single exquisite, expensive, massive single regret systems, and how 1,000 can overcome a weapon system versus one big ponderous system that can be defended against. We also see the power of mass data analytics, of open source data that can provide exquisite targeting versus exquisite secret systems and ponderous targeting processes. And all of those lessons can be brought to bear as we continue to prepare for warfare in the 21st century. But the basics, the timelessness of the principles of warfare, of mass, maneuver, security, all of those timeless principles still continue to carry the day. And the vast distance of the Pacific and those requirements. And so to find the differences in the Ukraine conflict, and to find what can be applied, such as the power of unmanned, the power of mass data analytics, how sea denial and air assault denial can be applied in narrow maritime domains, or in exclusive economic zones. So these are the lessons that we can bring to bear, and all are important. So we can't put all of our eggs in one basket to believe that every single thing that we can throw away everything that we can throw all of our eggs in the basket of the war in Ukraine, and forget about all the other elements in the Pacific, because there's a lot of contested space in the Pacific. There is a lot of maritime space in the Pacific, but there's so much to be learned in the war on Ukraine that we have exquisite access to, where Ukraine has shown incredible innovation and incredible partnership with our European partners, and we are learning, and we are closely linked with them. And though the war has been an absolute human tragedy on an epic scale, we've learned an incredible amount from it and are applying it every single day in our operational plans. Thank you.
Extraordinary. I'm just going to open up the floor now. I can see some hands. I understand there are microphones to the corners, so if you could make your way to the microphones. If you can please keep your questions brief, please, so as we only have about 10 minutes. Yes.
Okay. My question is to General Yoshida. So, as recently the draft of Japan 2024 Digest was released, which focused on 4 major pillars, and the last pillar being strengthening alliances. So, as the current maritime challenges of Japan are concerned, how do you see, or how will we see that the Japanese maritime self-defense force is moving towards building alliances, and what priorities would you be considering for strengthening this particular pillar? Thank you.
So the first, we'd like to prepare for the 2 kinds of the warfare. One is to attempt to the fait accompli in gray zone, and the other is the high-end warfare. So, and one of the lessons learned from the war in Ukraine is the very huge and multi-functioned, the expensive, the platforms that were defeated by a large number of the single function and the very cheap platforms. So that we have to change to the platform-centric, to the network-centric, to the decision-centric warfare. So more distributed and a large number of the platforms. And we transfer to the kill chain to the kill web. The more the resilience. It is the direction of the maritime forces, especially the making use of the UUV or the USB is a very effectiveness. And also, we enhanced the cooperation between the law enforcement agencies, so the Japan Coast Guard, to deal with the gray zone conflict. It is necessary to cooperation between the law enforcement unit and also the military. And now we are conducting to the capacity building support to the Pacific Island countries and so on. We deploy the JMSDF, the vessels, the boat in the MCT, the mobile, the cooperation team of the Japan Coast Guard, and conducted to the capacity building support for the law enforcement the organization to deal with the IUU fishing and so on. This is the law enforcement area. So it is very important interagency and also the multinational. These 2 words is the keywords to deal with the gray zone, the conflict.
I'm just going to ask the president here to ask a question, and then I'll take one question from the young fellows.
Well, this is a very difficult question. I am from the Maldives, but I have to ask this. With the changes in the US policy, can the rest of you trust the US to remain with you? Do you not think that you have to prepare for your own readiness? Very sorry to ask this question.
I guess, General, do you want to answer that question?
Oh, yes. We are confident that the U.S. is with the Philippines. We have received a lot of signals, good signals, from the staff of President Trump. And we see that while there is a reduction in the support to Europe, we are foreseeing an increase in the support to the Indo-Pacific region. So, as I said, we are getting good signals, especially from Admiral Paparo.
I just want to put that question to General Yoshida as well. Recently, President Trump said that the security pact between the United States and Japan was not reciprocal. Does that, what do you think about that, and where does that position Japan?
It's not. It is very reciprocal because the U.S. has the obligation to defend Japan, and Japan has the obligation to provide to the bases in Japan. That's a very reciprocal. And also, I think the Japan-U.S. alliance is not changed because the focus of the security strategy is overlapped to focus on the how to shape and deter in the Pacific region. So we enforce, we enhance the deterrence and response capabilities in the Japan-U.S. alliance.
Admiral Paparo, do you want to answer that at all in any way about the sort of commitment of the United States to its allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific?
Yes, when the Secretary of Defense's first statements were the commitment to build the military, a commitment to the warrior ethos, commitment to reform the defense acquisition system, a commitment to the Indo-Pacific and to allies and partners, and that was unequivocal. And then the early state-to-state meetings was the Quad Ministerial, was one of the earliest, the commitment to with Prime Minister Ishiba, and so I think across every single front, the audio and the video has matched. And so I think I would kind of look beyond the Sturm und Drang and look to the video instead of the audio on where we're going from a security standpoint. And so, I think I would watch the actions.
And I'll take
Hi.
just one question. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. I work for an organization called the Global Maritime Forum, and I was wondering, how do you think the decarbonization of ships with increased use of highly toxic fuels, such as ammonia, could add additional dynamics for maritime security, and if there are any reflections on how you're preparing for that? Thanks.
Vice Admiral Jones, do you want to take that one, and Admiral Tripathi as well?
Well, there's various legal instruments and international law and domestic law, in our case in Australia, that would allow defence forces, navies in particular, to the point about ships and warships, to distance themselves, if you like, seek waivers to those kind of requirements. We do not do that in Australia. We comply with international law and regulation pertaining to fuels to which you've referred.
This is the difficult question, not that one. I think my friend from Australia has already brought out what we are doing. Indian Navy is no different. We want to obviously comply with all the international regulations which are being done. We want to improve from where we were yesterday and where we want to go tomorrow. So all efforts in terms of the kind of propulsion, the kind of machinery, the equipment which are used, which could be in the past adding to the pollution, etc. Those are being phased out, and we want to obviously get green and clean technology on board our ships, submarines, and aircraft. So that is a constant process. It is not happening today, not happening tomorrow, as in the overall ambit of the green emissions and COP25, etc. So we in the Navy and the government is committed to ensuring that we follow all the international regulations and minimize pollutions and pollutants, both in harbors as also at sea, and we are doing our bit towards that.
We have about a minute left, so I'll just ask one more young fellow to ask a question. If you could make it very brief, and then I'll have one panelist answer.
Good afternoon. Yes, my question is for the Indian Admiral. I wonder if you could give an assessment of the state of strategic competition in the Indian Ocean region, particularly vis-a-vis China, and India's top priorities. Thank you.
China and priorities. That's the question?
In the Indian Ocean region.
Oh, okay. So like I said, we feel that it is our responsibility to ensure that the Indian Ocean region remains peaceful, tranquil, and it should facilitate unhindered movement of trade. And that was the subject actually of this panel. Towards that, we are working with multiple partners and agencies, both in the country and external partners. We are ensuring that the small island nations and other countries who require our help in terms of whether it is physically patrolling their exclusive economic zones or in terms of adding to their capabilities on their request, we are felt that. But more importantly, we are, I think, quite capable of maintaining maritime domain awareness and transparency in what is happening in the Indian Ocean region at any point of time. We are aware that some of the vessels, some of the platforms who are here, they have got probably a dual role. They are not doing exactly what they think or they tell they are doing. So we are keeping a very close watch. We are monitoring them. And in fact, on many cases, we have acted very, very decisively to call out as to this is just not allowed. This is not done here. One country alone, I don't think one Navy alone, none of us, I think, sitting here can say that we have got the capability to do everything. And therefore, individually, we may have constraints, which we all have. But I think together we are not constrained. In that sense, we are working together with everybody and sharing information at some point of time with some people sharing intelligence. And we as a country, as a Navy, we want to work on convergence-based issues. And we found that those actually bring in results much faster and quicker many times than going into the alliances, etc. So you can be rest assured that in the Indian Ocean region, whatever is happening, we are aware and we know who is doing what, where, why, and how.
On that note, it brings our panel to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank my panelists.